Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Malik Yusef here with me today. How you doing, Malik?
Blessings, brother. How you feel, Aki?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. I want to say hello to each and every person who's tuned in to America's Next Motivator tonight. We have a lot of energy in the building, and we are going to get straight into it. If you're ready for a dynamic conversation, drop a 1 in the chat. Let us know that you're in the building. If you're ready to if you're ready to make a new awareness in your life tonight with this conversation, drop a 1 in the chat. Yolanda Riley says hello, and we're getting ready to rock and roll. Malik Yusef, the great, and we'll discover why I tagged that on there as well. Where are you from?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago. They call it the Windy City.
Very windy.
Very windy, right? For those people who are not familiar with Chicago, there are landmarks. There is music culture. There is American culture for sure. What was Chicago like for you growing up?
It was rough, man. It was rough.
Yeah,
Rough.
from the start.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, I never assume what somebody's life was like, what somebody's beginnings was like. And it's interesting each and every time I ask somebody what their childhood was like, and you know, they say what they say. So for you, you had a rough start in life. So what was going on in your family before you were born?
I had an older brother, and he was born deaf. There's many ideas and assumptions of why.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, my mother was 16 when she was pregnant with him.
Wow.
So you know,
When you came into the world, what was your family there supportive, or was it just you and your mom and your brother?
my dad was there. My mother was there, but immediately, I'm not gonna speculate on why, but my mother didn't want to have me, which is cool. I mean, it's not expected to every woman is overjoyed to have a first or especially a second child. So,
Right.
but what is expected is fair treatment, some care,
That's right. How
things
did
like
you how did you find out that your mother didn't want you?
the various attempts on my life. It felt like, I mean, beatings and then, if I got old enough to comprehend, she told me how much, she would communicate to me how much she hated me. People would say, "Oh well, she was going through it." Still an adult,
Right.
going through it, whatever. But that doesn't give you a right to treat another person poorly, especially a child, especially your child.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's go ahead and hone in on this right here, right now. We have to eliminate the excuse of this parent was going through it, so that's why they were abusive to you. I think we need to do away with that excuse, and the reason why I say that is because I remember being young, maybe 7 years old, having conversations with other 7-year-olds, and really making sense of the world. I mean, we might not have had the brightest ideas, but we definitely had contextual conversations about what was happening in the world. I mean, nobody was dumb even at 7 years old. And when I say dumb, I mean, we understand the connection between our actions and how they're going to make other people feel. And so when we look back and we say, "Oh, this parent was treating their child like that because they were going through it," I think we got to do away with that as an excuse. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I concur. I mean, I don't have much interaction with my family because it's like they find a reason to always come to me and tell me, "Oh, well, mommy was going through it." Well, I went through it, as
Yeah.
with no ability to change her behavior, and she had all the ability to change her behavior. So I just, I had my last conversation about that shit in October, and
Hmm.
I'm done talking to anybody about that.
Hmm.
About how she was a young girl and going through it and all this shit. That doesn't absolve you from how you treat another person.
That's right. That's right. I believe there have always been people who was committed to giving knowledge in the community. These people have never been impossible to find. I could pick any decade in the past 100 or 200 years and find people who are giving out knowledge in their communities. And so I think it's incumbent upon everybody. We have a responsibility to find out how to live a better life. Poverty hurts. Your family not being as a cohesive unit, that hurts. When you identify hurt in your life, I think we have a responsibility to go out there and find a remedy for that hurt. Now and we're going to find out that you had many, many, many accomplishments in your life, but your first bona fide experience was pain. So I can imagine how strong you are, right? We can put that out in front. I can imagine how strong you are, but it's an American tragedy. It's a worldwide tragedy when a person's first experience, a bona fide experience, is pain.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
how did that impact your relationship with your brother? Because I'm sure you're a young child. You're going through a lot. He's probably going through a lot, and you want to communicate with him. So while all of this is going on, you might and tell me you're trying to figure out sign language, or you're trying to talk to your brother. You got nobody to talk to.
Yeah. I tried to figure out sign language to make things easier for him. My dad said to always take up for my brother, even though he was bigger and older and stronger than me. I still had to caretake him emotionally, So
Wow.
it made me sacrifice a great deal of my childhood to make sure that I became his comrade, almost like, like how seeing impaired people have a seeing eye dog, visually impaired folk have a seeing eye dog. I was like his hearing ear dog almost.
Right.
So we watching any TV show, and I think this has been lost in communication with so many people that have deaf siblings or parents, or hearing impaired siblings or parents. When I had to learn how to look at the television through his eyes and see what he's watching, and then also hear the dialogue so I could quickly interpret to him and translate to him what's happening on the screen and what the minutia of the dialogue is. And I got good at that. But also, in that being my communication form, I'm not as great a communicator with hearing people because I'm nuanced. So I'm expecting you to pick up the energies, and it is difficult in this world. So I find myself in a space a lot where I'm miscommunicating with folk,
Wow. I got a lot out of what you just said. It sounds like you had to step in, you had to grow up fast because human emotions are ever present. Human emotion is there before you know how to do grown up actions. And so you were able to identify that you and your brother were both in need. You were the younger brother helping out and assisting with the older brother. I find a lot of prodigy in that. So basically you became emotionally intelligent at a young age.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm very sensitized to the environment around me, people's emotions, people's actions. Our mother, she never troubled herself enough to learn to communicate fully in sign language. And she would have me translate to my brother, her son, which was kind of like paradoxical because she communicated to him through me, but never really to me. Only
Right.
that.
Right.
So
right.
I think that's a strange paradox in my relationship with her, or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm. I'm envisioning what you're saying, and I'm extremely compelled at what you're saying. The visual of it, that your brother can't hear, and nobody has learned sign language. I'm not hearing the part where you're telling me that you went to a sign language class, and then your ability to communicate with your brother was like a lifeline because people are talking to you in order for you to talk to him. And all the while, nobody is coaching you up. Nobody's developing you. Did you have uncles that stopped by? Did your father stop by? Who was coaching up Malik?
Yeah, my dad was there, but we didn't have a really good relationship because it's not normal for somebody's, you know, my mother didn't like me. She didn't love me, obviously, but she didn't like me also. So it's hard for my father to have a relationship with me because if she considered me the bane of her existence and he wanted to have a relationship with her, he had to have some type of diametric opposition to me as well. So he never really could embrace me. And his purview to me, his lens to view me through was her lens. So if she said Malik is slow and he's sloppy and he's not smart, he can't read and he stutters, or whatever she wanted to, whatever narrative she wanted to create, my father couldn't break the barrier. So he had very strong relationships with my other siblings, my younger brother, and my two younger brothers, my sister a little bit too, but definitely my younger brothers. They were like his kids, and I was like an outsider. I always felt like an outsider. And my dad told me one time he felt like I didn't need him, which was a weird thing for a father to say. I felt like I was always, but I had to be self-contained. I had to be, you know, the person I became in order to nurture myself and to guide myself through things, and also having the undue burden of kind of being the translator of life to my brother. Music, all media, every human being we came in contact with, aunties, uncles, neighbors, you know, new kids, didn't matter.
Right.
I was there to communicate for my brother, and I never was able to have my own selfhood inside my family. So I was always still looked at through the lens of my mother as like, Malik can't do this. He's slow. He's dumb. He'll never be able to function in real life. He can't drive a stick shift. Whatever was coming, like Malik's not going to be able to do that. You know, Malik, he's bad with money. Malik's, and all those things that were untrue and false narratives were created about me. And it was a lot. It was a hard road to toe. You know, it was a lot of it was a Sisyphean task. So no matter what I did, it was still going to be viewed through this dark lens of that I'm inept.
Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this show tonight, I want you to drop a one in the chat, like the video, share the video, text somebody, and tell somebody that we are talking to a man who's lived a Sisyphean life and has gotten on the other side of the mountain. You got to listen to the conversation that we're having tonight because there are layers to this, there are levels to this, and we're going there. Now, what was elementary school like for you?
It was difficult based on the fact of my learning challenges and also the emotional stifling of a human, you know, not allowing me to develop any creative components. I just had to make sure that I was in survival mode. My mother was, you know, immediately became abusive physically to me. Also, she was abusive to my big brother, but not for long. But with me, it was prolonged, and
Right.
And it was
You know
rough.
what?
Rough.
This is an American story right here. This is an American story clear across the country of parents, and not just in Malik's life, but in thousands and thousands of people's lives, where a parent who doesn't want to step up to the responsibility of their children tries to scapegoat the child as a way of rationalizing their lack of input into the child's development. And all I'm hearing from you is that you were a teacher from a young age. You naturally became a teacher. You've been a teacher your whole life. And so a teacher is never somebody who is either mediocre or incapable of accomplishments. It sounds like nobody wanted to deal with the actual talent that you were. And so basically the secret wasn't going to be able to be a secret for your whole life, because at some point, you know, you become a 10-year-old and somebody's looking at you thinking you're a little kid, but in reality, you've been a teacher for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
So when did you start to discover that you had talents?
Right away, I think I just was always, even though I was like navigating through my life, trying to figure out how to spell my name and things like that, and trying to.
Nobody taught you how to spell your name?
I mean, it was like my mother was a Christian, and by me being Malik Yusef, she wanted to kind of squelch that part. So I had to figure out how to spell Yusef. You know, I was like 6, and I was like, oh, I know how to spell it, but that was a part of me that she kind of wanted to bury. And you know, I had a mother that had like the pictures of white Jesus around the house and stuff like that. Even though she was like she had been educated in Africanity. I think she would just want to be defiant, and maybe her thing was to hurt my father, and the best thing to do was hurt him through his progeny, me, namely. And I think that that became a thing that was easy for her, because I mean, how difficult it is for you to abuse a child and then tell the parent, the other parent, that
Mm-hmm.
the reason why he's being beaten, his face is swollen up and his eyes are black, or the skin's been taken off the back of his hand with an iron, is because he's bad. My father's at work 8 hours and 2 hours there, 2 hours back, so 12 hours a day he's not there. And then I'm put in the basement or sent to the room or whatever. Well, I can never get my part of the story out. So, you know, but I kept feeling smart. I kept always feeling like, and even though the schoolwork is hard in first grade and second grade, and even up to third grade, the schoolwork was hard for me,
Mm-hmm.
because programmation and so on and so forth, other skills that I didn't have, or I wasn't allowed to develop, because I was always in survival mode, trying to gauge how to not need her love, and how to not incur her wrath simultaneously, you know.
This is deep. This is deep. People often look at me and they say, you know, why you always got this scrunch in your eyebrow? And these types of life stories right here, which are similar to my own, is exactly why I'm so serious when I talk about life, when I talk about our communities, is because neglect is an everyday reality for so many of us. Neglect.
Yeah.
Neglect. We're having an organic conversation about neglect, and neglect has to stop. I want you to think about the children in your family, whether you are rich, poor, in between, high class, middle class, low class. Think about the children in your family. Do they need a conversation from you? Do they need you to check up on them? Do they need a positive comment from you? Do they need a helpful conversation from you? Do all the children in your family know how to spell their name? Do all the children in your family understand that your mother, whether she is a saint or not a saint, she has human characteristics that are going to be in you. Your father, whether he's an angel or not, he has human characteristics that are going to be in you. So you are a brand new entity with an opportunity to develop a new vision for your life. When did you start thinking about the importance of having vision in your life?
I think it started, and I think it came from necessity, that the from a psychological standpoint, you just have to start looking to the future, because you know this reality is non conducive to your growth. It's non conducive to success. Um, just just from a morality standpoint, not even for like financial fiduciary success. I mean, from like just being able to remain a good person in a world where you are, you know, you're lambasted for anything you do wrong, any mistake, any misstep, you're lambasted in it, and it's almost, well, it is a catch-22. It's the ancient concept of lowering the bridge and raising the water at the same time. It's like, you know, a kid's gonna make mistakes, but you're gonna magnify the mistake that this particular kid makes, and you're gonna downplay or ignore the mistakes the other children in the same family, the same household make.
That's right.
Laugh about those, and you're gonna demonize this kid's mistakes. So I was that, you know, it was a rough place, you know.
You know what? This is the part where all of our publics have a victorious moment inside of this hour right here on America's Next Motivator. They say there's two sides to every coin, right? And the reason why it's important to talk about your early childhood experiences, because then we can understand how you transformed into the man that you are today. And so what I want to remind everybody in our communities about is this. When you go through so much pressure, you go through all the types of experiences, the abuse, the neglect, the dependency by yourself and by the people around you. You have an endorphin flow that happens in your body. You realize, I got to develop a vision for my life, because what I'm seeing right now cannot be real. what I'm seeing right now cannot be true, and what I'm seeing right now cannot be my future. And so you have this automatic influx of chemicals in your body. And so when you're going through a lot out there, you get positioned to morph into your own savior. You get put in a position to transform into your higher self, because now you've got to step in and make yourself a parent. Now you got to step in and save yourself and save somebody else. And so essentially you become a star at an early age. So now, when did people realize, hey, that Malik over there, you guys keep saying those things about that are unsavory, he's actually a talented kid? When did people start to realize that you actually had talent? When did you realize that you were a star?
I didn't know I had talent so much. I just knew that I was as good as any other kid. I kind of just knew that.
How'd you know?
I was teaching myself to read, even though I stuttered and I didn't know at the time I had dyslexia and dyscalculia. So I was trying to figure out what parentheses were. What parentheses were. I was like, what are those things? Why are those inside of words? I would drift off so much in class in my mind because, of course, the physical abuse had started at a very early age, 5 years old. And then at 6, it became intense. That's when I got I believe I was 6 years old when I got the skin burnt off my hand with an iron. And it was just like, and I think she started beating me in my face at around 6 or 7. I know by 9 it was full on black eyes and shit,
Did anybody ever call children's services on your mother?
No, because what happened was she was very wise. She would keep me home from school if I looked too terrible to go to school, and she would never let me talk to any adults. I could never go to I never went to any of my friends' birthday parties on the block or anything like that. My brothers and sisters went, but not me, because she couldn't afford to get me out of her sight. And I tell people the story, So I would tell my grandmother, who she had somehow demonized, my grandmother, who was my dad's mother, and she somehow demonized her as like a non-Christian witch lady. She would have these vivid dreams about how evil my grandmother was, and so on and so forth. And it was weird because my grandmother was really good to me, but from my father's stories, that my grandmother wanted to be a famous entertainer, so she would leave him and my sister, my auntie, his sister, with her mother to go off and to live her life, and her sisters had to bear the burden of raising her kids. But it's different. That is a little bit, not a little bit, that's a lot different than what my experience was with my mother. My mother was ever present. I wish she would have went off somewhere, but she was a constant oppressor of me, and she used torturistic tactics to make my life a living hell. She used the tactics that all abusers use. She kept me on guard, kept me off center, showed favoritism to other people around me as to make me have less self-esteem. All the tricks and triggers, she would edify other people in my household, other kids everywhere in the neighborhood, community. No matter who she knew, she would draw parallels between me and these people, and then simultaneously de-edifying me.
Right.
And I know that she had to see that I was brilliant. I know she had to. I look back, I'm like, shit, there's no way she didn't see that.
That's a lot of what I'm hearing. First of all, you could recall memories from 4. When we started talking, you were talking about 3 and 4 years old and moved into 5 years old. And so the types of people who carry that many years of experience on hand to talk about, like you, are gifted individuals. So everybody knew that there was something to it. Everybody knew that there was something to you. I can tell just by having this conversation right now.
But they ignored it because it was convenient to ignore it, because you don't want to feel like the kid that's really dope is also the kid that's being exploited and treated wrong. So it's your responsibility to do something. And I think people were tired. They just didn't want to deal with it. They were like, yeah, we don't want to deal with this guy.
I think that a lot of people go through that these days as well. And I'm happy that you were that transparent today right here on America's Next Motivator. I think there's a lot of young people and a lot of adults out here that we see the talent, We see the star power. We see the wisdom. We see what's coming through them, and we look the other way. You know. In fact, we don't think that. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I'm gonna say as well. I spent years of my life in foster care. Before then, my mother was also abusive to me. We lived in a ravaged environment where we lived in a condemned home, and people would come to our house and party while we were in a condemned home. They would come party in a condemned home, you know, and it became real to me that people look over one another. As I got older and I carried my experiences, and I would tell people, hey, I've been through a lot, but now I'm into speaking. Now I'm into, moving my life ahead. I had people tell me, listen, man, you ain't nobody. You couldn't be nobody. You standing here talking to me. How could you be somebody when you're in my neighborhood? How could you be somebody when you're in front of me? We believe that the people around us are nothing and that we are nothing. And in this conversation, nothing means bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do this every day. We look over the talent of the person next to us.
Yeah.
We see somebody's got potential and we go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. The magnitude of this action is it's a psychological parachute, right? It allows you to put forth minimum effort to help this person because somehow they deserve the negative or deleterious treatment that they're receiving from the person who is more gregarious, louder, more powerful, more engaged, more ingrained with a quicker line of communication. And humans respond well to that. We just had a president that was like that. He was so loud, people were like, yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
It must be true because he's louder than everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the things for me. My mother was loud and she was pretty and she was very, very gregarious, and she would be kind. Like, she can't be bad. She's kind to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Malik, it must be Malik.
Mm-hmm.
It must be Malik the bad kid, whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I took that moniker as a bad kid, and I went through all of the trials and tribulations, of being attacked in school and having to fight back. People attempted to bully me. I just wouldn't allow it. You know what I mean? It wasn't that, I was the kid with, my mother intentionally would buy my brothers and sisters new clothes and take them to places. And then I would, I was able to go to rummage sales and get clothes,
Mm-hmm.
Garage sales, really. And, so my birthday is in April. So my birthday present would always be a suit for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
But they would also have suits for Easter for my brothers and sisters. It makes no sense.
What were your thoughts about your future going into high school?
High school, I was a Black Pea Stone, so that made me feel good and strong. Being a Stone and being able to be affiliated with a street nation, a street tribe that could offer me some camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Yep.
This a familiar notance of myself, to view myself through this group that I'm involved in. And I just thought that maybe, become a hitman or something like that would be great. There's good money in that. And then I discovered, drugs. I discovered, sold some joints. I sell joints for some of the Vice Lord homies, some of the older homies. And then that summer, after my freshman year, I discovered working at this car wash as a hustle, and discovered a real life dope boy, and changed my life.
Talk about the importance of brotherhood. How important was brotherhood for you, given your background? Not necessarily having a lot of camaraderie, not having a lot of those type of relationships. How important was brotherhood for you?
Well, I mean, fraternity and fellowship are the hallmarks of development, self-development. Having the juxtaposition of other people to gauge yourself against, to I guess, apply your trade and learn your value and your worth proposition. I mean, your worth and your value proposition within a group. This is how humans develop. We said, okay, who am I in this group? How do I function in this group? There's hierarchy, you know, there's pecking,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. Those things
Mm-hmm.
are healthy for especially young men, but especially young black men living in these environments that are dangerous to you. Everything around you is dangerous. The people are dangerous. You know, the police are dangerous. The traffic is dangerous, and you have to navigate through this. And then also having a little brother and sister in tow who can't really respect you. They kind of just treat you as a servant. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're bigger than them, but you're really a servant because mommy don't treat you well.
Right.
Can't really
Right.
have value to you unless you're doing something for me. So I
Right.
became a provider at a very early age as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the provisional aspect of Malik Yusef became at the forefront. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody expected that Malik had the resources. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
I went and got resources so that I could have seminal value inside this group. You know,
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to consider the importance of brotherhood as stated by Malik Jones today. Everybody needs an environment where iron sharpens iron, where you have a think tank, you have a hierarchy where you can figure out how to grow up. You know, it's not always the adults who have the answers. Sometimes we need to be in a group of our peers in order to excel. That's exactly what Malik Yusef Jones did. And we're going to talk more about his journey right after this brief message. Everybody, as you can see, this is a very, very important conversation we're having tonight. So you guys sit tight. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Malik, how you feeling out there?
I feel great, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're doing a phenomenal work for the community today. You literally could have been anywhere in the world, but what we are showing everybody out there today, no matter where you are, is that you can go from the bottom to the top. I want you guys to, at some point, look up the story of Sisyphus. It's a mythological story. He referenced it 15 minutes ago. And when you are pushing a boulder up the side of a mountain, just know that the angel king Malik Yusef, see, first he told you about how he was there for his brother. He was an angel. Then he told you about how he became a provider by any means. That's a king for you. How he was able to do those things and get to where he's at today. So now, when did you realize that you could take your life to an even more positive place? I mean, the street fame or the local popularity of being a provider, even though you might be breaking the law, selling drugs and stuff like that. That glory only lasts for so long if you really want to have longevity. So when did you realize you wanted to have more longevity in your life?
I didn't. I didn't. I was like a lot of people who suffer from uh, mental and emotional illness and uh, physical suffering and embarrassment and lack of efficacy and dehumanization and demasculization and all these different um, maladies. I I was ready to die. You know, I didn't feel like I had anything to live for. I didn't feel valued. I didn't see a way out because the brain kind of contrites itself and focuses on the things that you don't have as opposed to focusing on the world view. And until somebody comes along and tell you there's a big world out here, you can get away because you are anchored toward the people that are your oppressors. And it was me for me, basically my whole household. I mean, my sister, we had a pretty cool relationship after she got into high school because again, I was a provider for her. You know, I provided her with popularity, protection, clothing, money, whatever, somebody who I loved, and I wanted to prove that I was somebody that was valuable in her life because everyone needs to have value. Um, but I also wanted to show that I was hoping that a funeral would come right away so my mother could see that, you know, there was women that loved me, there was dudes that was like, Malik is a man, but well, so I fantasized about dying, but it, there's a method, a behavioral method called invited suicide. So if you're not willing to cut your wrist or hang yourself or shoot yourself, you try to go out in a blaze of glory. You know, you go into the opposition's territory with the wrong color, or you hat the wrong way, or you start fights, and so they can kill you, or the police can kill you. So it's called invited suicide, and a lot of black and brown men do it. You know,
Um,
so it's a very strange phenomenon. You know.
it's interesting to hear you talk about it from a clinical perspective, but I'm thinking about the importance of respect. How respect is a human right. How respect is something that we should not have to ask for, and how respect is not something that we should have to earn per se. People deserve respect. We have a comment in the building. Yolanda Riley says, absolutely, it's hard to see what the world has to offer if you don't know what's bigger than where you live. We need respect. Respect is a human need. I don't know where it is on Maslow's hierarchy, but I'm telling you from the School of Hard Knocks, from Cleveland, Ohio, New York, a perspective of Chicago, Illinois. Respect is something that we need. So I want to have a conversation about respect. You have any ideas of what we can do to raise the levels of respect in our communities for one another?
Yeah, well, I have a theory. So let's look at the word respect, right?
Okay. Yep.
To do again, spect
Yep.
to love. A lot of times we do uh, look at people again, but I'll go back and revert to what I was talking about. The lens on which we view people through is often altered and it's skewed, and we've had to change it. And so we look at them and we say, well, you are very similar to me, or maybe even a mirror image of me, and I don't respect myself because I'm not respected, so I can't respect you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
It becomes a causality of the lack of respect that we have received.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Mm-hmm.
we put it onto other people. We transpose or superimpose this onto other folk and say, I'm going to treat you like I've been treated.
That's right.
I wish I would be treated. I'm going to treat you like I've been treated. It's
That's
easier,
right.
it's more economical to treat people poorly than it's treat people well, because treating people well means you have to have uh, a certain kind of code or more speedier core on how you interact with folk.
Mm-hmm.
If you
That's
tell
right.
someone, I love you, then I have to be concerned with your well-being, you know, from mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and any other lead. If I say I hate you, I have no responsibility. I've absolved myself of any responsibility. As a matter of fact, I can perform my illness on you. You know,
Right.
I can harm you to make myself feel better. I can belittle you.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you're saying, that in the world that we live in today, in a lot of different areas, not all areas, we know there's some beautiful areas. There are some pockets of positive thinkers. There are some pockets of loving people who have a beautiful reality right next to you. But in some places, the going rate is hate. The going rate is hate, and it's less of a duty, less of responsibility. Like Sybil Sims, vocal coach, saying, it's less of a responsibility if I just give you some hate and keep it moving, as opposed to showing you some love, because love is different. And in love being different, now you're going to latch on to me to understand if there's more where that came from. And while I'm busy sharing love with you, there's somebody waiting to rob me because now I'm being soft.
Exactly.
And so what we are raising awareness about today, right here inside this hour on America's Next Motivator, is our responsibility to change the lens. We're connecting dots tonight. We're connecting dots tonight. You got to change the lens. First of all, it shouldn't just be one lens.
True.
Not you walking around like a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got two eyes. There should be two lenses, the left and the right, the heart and the mind, the mom and the dad, the masculine and the feminine. Not one. We're not pirates.
Mm-hmm.
So I want everybody to sit back and put your actual shades on. These are the family shades. We're putting on family shades tonight. Somebody dropped the hashtag in the comment, family shades tonight. Because in respect, we got to take a second look and say, you know what? You're not just flesh and bones here for me to destroy because my hands contain 4 pounds of pressure. You are a soul that I never knew nothing about. We gotta take a step back. We need to slow it down and think. We have no idea what we're doing to the soul. We have no idea the consequences of disrespecting the souls of one another in the afterlife. We got responsibility here on earth, but like Isaac Newton said, and Africans said it before Isaac Newton,
Of course,
that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred. So you're going to be responsible for what you're doing. And what we're sharing with you tonight is that you got to change the lens. You got to change the paradigm. The old paradigm, the hate, the brute force, that's old school. That's old school. Today, we need to realize that we are the world's best technology. We're the technology, because technology brings hope.
Yeah.
People have been getting hope from Malik Yusef Jones for a long time. That's because he's an excellent piece of technology, and you are too. We got to value each other. You like the iPhone, you like the MacBook, you like Facebook, you like Instagram. Shout out to all the algorithms. Respect the human being. Malik, can you drop some spoken word for us tonight? What you got? Can you do a little rap, a little rhyme?
Oh man, what do I have that I just recently did that might be sweet? I'll just give a little bit of this poem that's coming out.
Okay.
I broke all the black codes, the black laws. See my name in the backlogs. I'm from the wilderness. It's 10 o'clock, shorty. Do you know where your children is? Call the police. Have you ever seen a criminal as smooth as this since Michael? Hella big willies get popped on this vicious cycle. This information is vital. She been dragging a wagon. Me, pen dragging. Either way, Martin Luther the King Arthur is my title. But peep the dichotomy. She can't even get a like out of me unless she can fit her new body on the back of my Ducati. Vroom. Me, I'm mass shooting film about the destruction of the environment by them. I mean them, those that's in charge, cards, masters. But I do see those that have master degrees, but they are still wage slaves and can't even afford to buy a whip. I ain't finna trip. Because I did just go purchase that white coupe like I was storming the Capitol. I'm on stage performing for capital gains, blockchains, with my name on the charm. I came from the harm, long arm of the law, with cuffs to cuff the shells. I mean, they call it black on black crime because white on white crime ain't the stuff that sells. The judge dropped the hammer on you just to see if you tough as nails. I have not been here that many times or for that long, but I'll be there in no time. I am infinite. I am eternal. I appear through the autumnal and the vernal equinox. What I bagged up equals blocks. I did it, I sold it, I spent it. My soul was sold, I bought it back, I repented. I got on stage, told the truth that I told, I vented. I am the only one of me, one of one, something that I invented. Copy this. Put it in the cloud, no floppy disk. I have no ops, only options. I popped in, or should I say I dropped in. I wasn't born, I was downloaded. Human spontaneous combustion. They call me a star because I exploded.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm coming through the screen each and every night. This night is no different. Drop some hearts and likes in the building for Malik Yusef Jones. Did you hear what he said? Make those likes and hearts ring off in the building, family. He said, I am technology, blockchain. You guys can go back and watch the replay, but he made it plain. Let's talk about how your mind and your heart and your intentions are creating the future. What does a comment like that mean? What does that mean?
Well, there's these spheres, right? We call them sphere, like atmosphere.
Yeah.
Word sphere is a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Circles work together. They are self-contained units, right? So when you put something into the atmosphere, into the biosphere or the ethosphere, you are running it through an entire circular or circuitous manifold.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think it, you must reinforce it with action.
That's right.
When you say, man, I'm going to be the greatest fighter of all time, and then you go play the video game, which is cool. You could be the greatest fighter in the video game, but you can't be the greatest fighter because you didn't go to the gym yet.
Mm-hmm. You
can have all the thoughts and everything, but until you do the action, because action is the first law of success, not the only, but the first law of success. Mm-hmm. So when you say, I'm going to become this, or I'm becoming this, or I want to be a thing, or whatever that thing may be, you have to take action on it, and you should do that immediately. That's the important part. So when you're saying, I'm this, I'm that, you're creating the space for that to exist. You're moving the dark matter in the universe, moving it, and not moving it out the way. You're reconfiguring it. You're making that thing through the dark matter, and it comes out of what we call outer space and into your inner space. It enters your life, enters your world. A carpenter builds that thing. A pipe fitter makes the pipes. An architect designs it, and now you say, "Oh, look at this house. The house was in my dream."
So, are you telling me? Are you telling me that we are a technology that can hear the universe, and what we hear, it turns into a vision, like a dream, and that we can manifest our dreams, which is basically making something out of nothing. Are you telling me that each and every one of us, no matter what we've been through, is a technology because we can create something out of nothing?
That's right. Everything comes from nothing. All like everything, all things are no thing. They come from the atom. So when you are materializing it, when you are materializing an idea, you are imagining it, you're imaging it, and then you're telling the universe to download it for you. And you have to be around those that are practicing it as well. It ain't not just it's so hard to get because other people want it too. That's why.
All right, I'm going to shake up the room real quick, and then we have to wrap up. We probably have about 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes left in the interview, but you are a supreme mathematical mind this evening. We have this notion of negative and bad being the same thing. But it's clear to me that anybody who takes photos knows that negatives are images. And it seems like we might have been duped in the inner cities of Chicago, Cleveland, New York, or anywhere USA to believe that bad is acceptable. And when I say bad, I'm not talking about bad as the way you repurposed it for an extremely positive thing in the community. I'm talking about bad stuff like we all know about, like getting punched in the face, like being abused, neglect, and dependency in our communities. That bad, we think it's acceptable because people keep matching it up with negative. So we think, oh, well, you need negative and positive, and you need left and right. You need balance. But it sounds like if negative doesn't mean bad, you take the bad and put it in the trash, then the negatives could be what they really are, which is the images in our mind. And if we could see the images in our mind instead of all the bad stuff, the drugs, the abuse, the destruction of our communities, then we could see new images that are waiting to be revealed from our soul, and then that's how we make the world a better place. Is that okay?
I concur 1,000%. I do a program called the Bad Kids Class where I teach people about how to navigate this industry. I do a Bad Kids Camp where I have people writing songs for some of their favorite celebrities, and we submit these songs to these people.
What's the website? Bad Kids Class?
Yes.
How do you spell it?
BADKLASS.
Okay.
So it's Bad Kids Class with a K.
Okay. So, and I want people to understand that what you did was you got into entertainment, and you're not a small time person. If you've never heard of Malik Yusef Jones, you could do a quick Google search, YouTube search, and realize that this man has been in the most top level rooms in the entertainment industry. And when people around the world say, I want to go to America and I want to be around those talented individuals who live in America, they're talking about Malik Yusef Jones.
True.
Now, this class, this website, is this a place where people could subscribe to your knowledge, your
come and sign up, and I'm welcoming everybody. We're in beta right now, so it's a good time to get in. There's going to be money made. That's really what the process is showing people how to get to the money, because you most have the talent, they just don't have the money. So this is money.
Do you have a favorite accomplishment from your entertainment career?
Oh man, probably, to be honest with you, being able to work on Lemonade with Beyonce, and then the subsequent album 444, which was the apology from Jay-Z, working on both.
You worked on Lemonade and 444?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Both of them were cathartic, but because we first time in America, we saw a woman, specifically a Black woman, being upset with her significant other, who we all love and look up to and respect, and she cursed them out and talked about them bad. And instead of him being defensive, he said, "Yup, you're right. I was acting like a little ass boy."
What do you do? And that was huge, by the way, man. Listen, I wish we could go for 2 hours, man. But And because that's huge, the accountability in that. First of all, her being transparent, saying I'm being mistreated. It's okay for a woman to say I'm being mistreated, but it's also okay for a man to say, you know what, you're right, you are being mistreated, and I was wrong, and I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to be transparent about it. That was huge. You were in the room helping Jay-Z and Beyonce produce those bodies of work.
Yeah, separate though. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. We are down to the final 20 seconds of the show. This man is a legend, everybody. Subscribe to his work. Badkidsclass.com. Replay this video. Share this video. Get in tune. I got 3 questions for you. 15 seconds left. What is survival to you?
First, I want to say shout out to Sybil, one of the bad kids being in the class and being in this, watching this. Survival to me is to overcome everything you need to overcome to get to where you have planned on going.
What is success to you?
Success is being able to give back, to have a surplus and to give back.
What is greatness to you?
Greatness is being there on time when you're needed the most.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready. Put your crown emojis into the chat. Malik Yusef Jones, we are letting you know that we heard your story today. Love the way you overcame adversity. You pushed through from the very beginning, and now here you are making an extreme difference in the world. We're giving you respect today while you're still alive to receive. We're giving you respect today, and we're giving you a crown today while you can still receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Malik Yusef Jones, you are America's next motivator. You got crowns coming into the building.
Crowns
Coming into the building.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Indeed. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, G.
Absolutely. You can stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator still got crowns coming in. It's going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.